didn't know that I was looking at the last sunset we'd ever share. I didn't know that see you tomorrow would disappear into the air. Your coffee sat beside the window, steam dancing in the fading gold. You laughed at something I've forgotten, but somehow your smile never grows old. The city moved without a warning. People crossed the crowded streets. Nobody heard the silence coming. Nobody knew where fate would meet. We talked about tomorrow, like tomorrow would arrive. We talked about forever, like forever stayed alive. I didn't know that I was holding my goodbye. I didn't know the last hello was passing by. We talked about tomorrow, like tomorrow would arrive. But some tomorrows never come, and some memories never die. The years became a restless river. Kingdoms rose and turned to dust. Names were carved in stone and vanished. Palaces surrendered to rust. I watched the oceans change their borders. I watched the stars abandon skies. I watched entire worlds disappear, yet I still remember your eyes. We talked about tomorrow, like tomorrow would arrive. We talked about forever, like forever stayed alive. I didn't know that I was holding my goodbye. I didn't know the last hello was passing by. 500 winters crossed before me. 500 springs have bloomed and gone. The world forgot a million stories, but your voice keeps living on. Sometimes I walk through ruined gardens where our shadows used to be, and every flower blooms in silence, like they're still remembering me. We talked about tomorrow, like tomorrow would arrive. But some tomorrows never come, and some memories never die. I survived the wars, I survived the centuries, I survived the fall of empires and the death of kings. I survived every storm, every season, every ending, but I never survived the last day we met. We talked about tomorrow, like tomorrow would arrive. And that's the reason part of me never left that night. sun still rose above the mountains, but all its light had turned to gray. The garden where we used to wander now sleeps beneath a sheet of snow. I visit every year in silence just to see if roses grow. The birds return with every springtime. The rivers learn to run again. The whole world kept on moving forward, but I remained where it all ended. Winter without end. Winter without end. The snow keeps falling in my chest. Winter without end. Winter without end. Since the day you left, I kept your letters in a drawer, afraid that time might steal your name. The paper aged, the ink grew faded, but my heart stayed exactly the same. I watched the children become elders. I watched the elders turn to dust. I watched entire kingdoms vanish like forgotten stories lost to rust. 700 summers passed before me, 700 autumn leaves were blown. Yet every season wore your absence, and every road still led alone. Winter without end. Winter without end. The snow keeps falling in my chest. Winter without end. Winter without end. Since the day you left. Sometimes I hear your voice at twilight, floating softly through the trees, like a memory too beautiful for time to carry to the sea. The moon still hangs above the ruins, the stars still burn across the sky, and every night I ask the heavens why some hearts never learn goodbye. Winter without end. Winter without end. The world keeps changing all around. Winter without end. Winter without end. But you're the only thing I found. The clocks have long forgotten, counting the years dissolve like drifting smoke. Empires crumbled into legends, and ancient crowns were left unclaimed. I stopped counting years a long time ago. I only count winters now, and every winter still begins. With you. With you. The moon was young the night we promised we would never let the darkness win. Silver light upon the river, dancing softly on your skin. You spoke my name like it would last forever, like time itself could not erase. We were foolish, we were certain nothing could take this place. You said no matter where the years may take us, no matter what the world becomes, look for me beneath the moonlight, and you'll know I'm never gone. So every time the moon is rising, I return to where we stood, listening for your distant footsteps, like a man who never understood. A promise beneath the moon, still burning after all these years. A promise beneath the moon, still louder than my fears. The kingdoms fell into the ocean, the mountains changed their ancient form, the names of kings became forgotten, lost to history and storms. I forgot the faces of my brothers, I forgot the language of my home, but I still remember every word you whispered by the river's stone. A promise beneath the moon, still shining through the endless night. A promise beneath the moon, the last remaining light. I've buried everyone who knew you, every soul that spoke your name. Their bones are dust beneath the earth now, yet my heart remains the same. History erased your existence, no painting bears your face today. No book remembers that you live, but I remember, and I stayed. Sometimes I think I see your shadow moving softly through the silver haze. Sometimes I hear your voice behind me, calling from another age. Perhaps you're sleeping in another lifetime. Perhaps you've crossed a distant sea. Perhaps the stars are slowly guiding your wandering soul back home to me. The moon has seen me waiting longer than most kingdoms ever lived. I've forgotten entire centuries, but not the way you smiled, not the way you laughed, not the way you looked at me. A promise beneath the moon, the world may change 1,000 times. A promise beneath the moon, still living in my mind. And if another 1,000 winters come, and if another 1,000 years go by, I'll still be here beside the river, beneath the same moon, waiting for a woman. The world forgot, but I never could. The bench still creaks beneath the willow. Funny thing is, I kept expecting that sound to disappear one day. It never did, just like me. There's a rose beside the path, leaning slightly to the left. I tried fixing it once, twice, maybe 100 times. It always grows back the same way. Then I remembered, that's where you tied your horse. Or maybe it was the tree near the river. No, I'm almost certain it was here. Strange what survives the empty garden. Everybody left, everybody died. The roses didn't last year. A child wandered through the gate and asked me who the flowers were for. I opened my mouth immediately. I knew the answer. I have always known the answer. But nothing came out, nothing that frightened me. Not death, not time, not eternity. Just that one empty second. I can't remember my mother's face anymore. I can't remember the house where I was born. I can't remember the language I spoke as a child. But I remember the way you laughed when you were nervous. I remember that, at least I think I do. The river swallowed your grave 300 years ago. It took me weeks to find the place. I stood there staring at the mud, wondering if I was mourning the right person. That's the terrible thing about being alive this long. One day history forgets, then the world forgets, then the grave forgets, and eventually memory begins forgetting itself. Yesterday, I almost forgot your name. Just for a second, only a second. But that scared me more than all the centuries before it. Because the only thing keeping you alive is a man who cannot die. And lately, even he is starting to disappear. Your name in stone. Your name in stone. I carved your name into a mountain. Thought mountains live forever. Thought forever meant something. I was wrong. Your name in stone. Your name in stone. The first letter took our winter. My hands bled through the cold. Funny thing is, you hated the sound of hammers. You'd laugh and cover your ears. I still hear that laugh most days. 200 years, 406. Still gone, your name in stone. If memory dies, let the mountain remember. If memory pictures lost their faces, the pillars broke, the temples became dust. Your name in stone. Don't let me forget. Don't let me forget. Don't let me forget your name. I can't remember my mother's face anymore. I can't remember the house where I was born. I can't remember the language of my childhood, but I remember you. No, I remember missing you. Maybe that's all that's left. Your name in stone. Last spring I found a fragment beneath the fallen archway. One letter remained, just one. I sat beside it until sunrise, guarding it like the last heartbeat left in the world. Memory failed me, stone failed me, history failed me. Time fails everything. I carved your name into a mountain. The mountain forgot. I carved it into history. History forgot. I carved it into myself, and now I'm the one forgetting. Don't let me forget. Don't let me forget. Don't let me forget your name. Stay alive inside my mind. Stay alive, stay alive, stay alive. One more night. One day I won't remember your face. One day I won't remember your voice. But my hands will still know your name. Your name in stone. Your name in stone. If the last stone becomes sand, if the last letter disappears, if the whole world forgets, stay alive inside my mind. Because the only thing keeping you alive is me. And I'm trying, I'm still trying to remember. Another letter. Or maybe the same one. I don't know anymore, dear. No, not yet. Don't disappear before I do. Don't disappear before I do. Don't disappear before I do. The room is full of paper ghosts, thousands, maybe more. I stopped counting after the 3rd century. Some letters say your eyes were blue, some say green. One of them is lying. Maybe all of them, maybe it's me. Another letter you'll never read. Another memory I cannot keep. I remember losing you, I don't remember you, and that terrifies me. Don't disappear before I do. Stay, stay, stay. I wrote to you when kingdoms burned. I wrote to you when oceans rose. I wrote to you when winter lasted 30 years. I wrote to you yesterday. I think the dates don't make sense anymore. Neither do I. Another letter, another ghost, another version of myself, leaving instructions behind. If you find this,
remember her.
if you find this,
Don't trust the others.
if you find this,
Burn every letter except this one. Stay, stay, stay.
I know your face,
I know your face.
I know your... Do I? Last winter I opened a sealed envelope. The handwriting was mine, the signature was mine, the memory wasn't. I knew every word, every stain, every tear in the paper, but I couldn't remember living it. Don't disappear before I do. Don't disappear before I do. Don't disappear before I do. Sometimes I think you died. Sometimes I think I invented you. Sometimes I think the letters invented both of us. There's one envelope left, just one. I've carried it through wars, floods, empires, centuries. I never opened it. I was afraid it was empty. Tonight I finally did, dear.
My hands were shaking.
The paper was older than memory, older than grief, older than the man I've become. The first word wasn't yours, it was mine. My name,
Written in your handwriting.
Stay,
Stay,
stay.
stay. Who are you?
And why do you remember me?
We failed again. That's all the letter said. 3 words, waiting in the dark. We failed again. I turned the page, day 317 on. He forgot again, day 54 too. He remembered the garden, day 54 3. He forgot why he cried there again. A flower slept between the pages, dead, white, weightless. A note beneath it, you gave me this. I stared until sunrise. Nothing came back. Nothing. I remember losing you. I don't remember you. I don't remember you. I don't remember you. Tell me, which one hurts more? What was her name? Not hers, mine. The handwriting changed near the end. Older, tired human for the first time. You sounded afraid. Day 7841. He's forgetting faster now. Day 7842. I don't know how much longer I can carry him.
Let me forget again. Let me forget again. Let me forget again. The snow knew the road. I didn't. Still, my feet carried me there, past the frozen river, past the dead orchard, past the place where someone carved a heart into a tree. I stopped because I knew that tree. I just didn't know why. Let me forget again. Let me forget again. Not that name, not that name, not that name again. The grave was already open, like someone had been waiting, like someone knew I would come back again, again, again. Inside the dirt I found a photograph, a young man laughing, mud on his boots, sunlight in his eyes, one arm around a woman. The picture shook in my hands because I remember the laughter, but not the face. I remembered how happy he felt, but not who he was. Name, name, name. Say it. No. Say it. No. No. Under the photograph was a note. The paper nearly fell apart. My mother used to call me this. That was all. One sentence, one ordinary sentence, and somehow it hurt more than all the centuries. Let me forget again. Let me forget again. The wind turned the next page by itself. I swear it did. The journal opened to the middle, not the beginning, not the end. The middle, there was only one line, written over and over, hundreds of times, like a prayer, like a warning, like a man trying to save himself. Don't make me remember. Don't make me remember. Don't make me remember. I laughed, actually laughed, for the first time in years, then stopped because I couldn't remember what laughter felt like. The sky darkened, the trees stopped moving, even the wind disappeared. And that's when I saw it, the date on the grave, not yesterday, not centuries ago. Today, today's date. My hands went cold because beneath it, in my own handwriting, were three words: welcome back again. Let me forget again. Let me forget again. Not that name, not that name, not that name again. Then it happened, not the memory, not the name, the fear, the same fear every version of me had buried, the same fear every version of me had run from, the same fear waiting at the center of everything. Because forgetting was never the curse, remembering was. And suddenly I understood why every version of me had chosen the grave instead of the truth. Tell me I was real. Tell me I was real. because the road remembered my footsteps better than I did, because the city was still standing when I arrived, and somehow that felt wrong. Every brick older, every window staring through me, like I was the ghost and not the one haunting this place. There used to be a blue door near the river. I know there was. I remember the color. I remember the rain on the wood. I remember waiting there for someone whose face keeps slipping away. Every time I reach for it, funny isn't it? I remember the weather, but not the life. I remember the laughter, but not the mouth it came from. Tell me I was real before the years erased the last corner of my shadow. A woman handed me bread this morning, and for one impossible second I thought she knew me. My heart moved before my mind did. Then she smiled the way strangers smile, and suddenly I was nobody again. Nobody was I ever here? Or am I just a story repeating itself? Because no one remembered my name. And then one day I realized something worse. I couldn't remember it either. I searched the records, the kings, the wars, the dead, the maps, the monuments. Nothing, only dust drifting through sunlight like forgotten centuries, refusing to settle. And there in the center square stood a monument. I swear I built every stone familiar, every crack a fingerprint, and beneath it 3 words carved into history. Like a joke that lasted too long, unknown builder. I laughed, not because it was funny, because it felt inevitable. Because time doesn't kill everyone, sometimes it just edits them out. Tell me, who was I before all these winters, before all these empty roads, before all these borrowed tomorrows? The library closed at sunset, but I stayed until darkness swallowed the windows, turning pages, turning years, turning lives. And on the final page, beyond the official history, someone had written a single sentence in fading ink. You were here. I stared at those words until they stopped looking like words and started looking like mercy. Tell me I was real, tell me I was real, tell me I was real. Tell me I was real, because if the city forgot, if the world forgot, if time forgot, then maybe the worst thing isn't being erased. Maybe the worst thing is standing in the ruins of your own life and realizing you're the last person left who can no longer prove it ever happened. Was I ever here? Or did time finally win? Meet me here tomorrow. That's what you wrote. 4 ordinary words, somehow surviving longer than kingdoms, longer than maps, longer than memory itself. I carried them across centuries, only to find the coast unrecognizable. The cliffs gone, the lighthouse gone, even the road erased beneath grass and salt. Only the sea remained, waiting. He hated the smell of salt. He stole my jacket every winter. Funny how that's what survived. Not your voice, just fragments drifting through me. Me, here tomorrow. Me, here tomorrow. I came back looking for forever, but forever changed the shore. Before pointing toward the horizon, sun that's been underwater longer than my grandfather's grandfather. And suddenly I understood. The sea hadn't moved, time had. The red X was still there. The promise was still there. The map remembered more than I did. The map remembered more than I could. Me, here tomorrow. Me, here tomorrow. I came back looking for forever, but forever changed the shore. Me, here tomorrow. Me, here tomorrow. The sea remembers nothing, and I'm still standing where you too late to tell me. If a place disappears, where does the memory go? Tell me, if the ocean swallows a promise, who keeps it alive? Me, here tomorrow. Me, here tomorrow. The saddest thing about forever is forever keeps changing. Me, here tomorrow. Me, here tomorrow. There is no tomorrow, there is no here, only me, still arriving. Waves, wind, silence. I found a box beneath the floorboards, locked away from rain and years. Inside were faces I once carried, through wars, through winters, through entire lives. One wore a coat stained red with wine, one still had a bullet through his chest. One was laughing at something time refused to explain. I knew they mattered, I knew I loved them, I just couldn't remember why. The cities vanished, their houses fell, the stories scattered with the wind. But somehow, their eyes still followed me. Every face becomes dust, every voice becomes wind, every name becomes silence, but I'm still here. Every promise disappears, every photograph grows dim, everything returns to darkness, but I'm still here. There was a portrait wrapped in cloth, the oldest one inside the box. I opened it with shaking hands, afraid of what I'd find, afraid of what I wouldn't. The canvas cracked, the colors faded, the Don't let me forget them. Don't let me forget them. Don't let me faces, faces, faces gone. Tell me they were real. Tell me they were real. Tell me I didn't imagine all these lives. Every grave has a name, every name has a face, every face becomes dust. Every face becomes dust. Every voice becomes wind. Every dream becomes memory. But I'm still here. Every kingdom turns to ruin. Every ocean changes shape. Everything the years can touch eventually fades away. But I'm still here. Still here. Still here. I spent centuries searching for their faces, trying to hold them together, trying to keep them alive. Then I looked down at the portrait in my hands and realized the face fading first was mine. There's an old bench by the river, half swallowed by the weeds. The paint is gone, the wood is cracked. The years have taken almost everything. But every morning I end up there, like a prayer I never chose, like a road my body learned long after my heart forgot. I don't remember your voice, I don't remember your eyes, I don't remember the last thing you said, but somehow my feet still know the way. I forgot your face, but my feet still know the way. I forgot your name, but my feet still know the way. Tell me why I'm coming back to a place that feels the same. I forgot everything about you, but my feet still know the way. The river changed direction years ago. The trees are taller than before. Children play where we once stood. Strangers pass without a glance. Sometimes someone sits beside me, sometimes they smile, and for a second my heart mistakes them for you. I don't remember your laugh, I don't remember your touch, I don't even know if the memories I keep are real, but somehow my feet still know the way. I forgot your face, but my feet still know the way. I forgot your name, but my feet still know the way. Tell me why I'm coming back to a place that feels the same. I still know the way. Was it love? Was it grief? Was it hope? Was it you? Or did waiting become another part of me? I don't know anymore. I don't know why anymore. I only know where the road ends. Where the road ends. I forgot your face, but my feet still know the way. I forgot your name, but my feet still know the way. The world keeps moving on, the years keep pulling me away. Yet every morning finds me here, and my feet still know the way. Maybe waiting is all that's left of you. Maybe waiting is all that's left of me. There's an old clock tower above the city, older than the streets below. I've watched kingdoms rise beneath it, watched their banners turn to stone. Every 100 years I find myself climbing those familiar stairs, past rusted gears and broken windows, past the ghosts of answered prayers. On the highest beam beneath the dust, a message barely survives. The words have almost disappeared, but somehow they're still alive. I kept leaving, it stayed. I kept changing, it stayed. The world kept moving further away. Everything changed, it never did. Oceans moved, it never did. Every face became a memory. Every memory slowly slipped. Everything changed, it never did. And somehow I'm still climbing back to it. The first time we stood here together, you laughed at how the tower swayed. You carved a message in the wood and told me not to be afraid. The city lights were smaller then, the river followed a different path. We thought forever was a promise, we didn't know forever laughs. Now the carving's nearly gone, rain and years have done their part. But every time my fingers find it, something stirs inside my heart. Another year, another life, another 1,000 names forgotten. But this place remembers what I could not. Everything changed, it never did. Kingdoms fell, it never did. Every road led somewhere else, every dream eventually slipped. Everything changed, it never did. And somehow I'm still climbing back to it. I came here to
another face gone. Another year, another life, another face gone. Tell me, what survives when memory doesn't? Tell me, why am I still here? Everything changed, it never did. The sea has changed, it never did. I forgot faces, forgot names, forgot reasons to exist. Everything changed, it never did. And somehow it remembers me. The sun disappeared behind the hills, the old gears turned, the bells began to ring. I touched the carving one last time. Most of the letters were gone. Only 2 words remained for me. I don't remember who wrote them, but for the first time in centuries, I cried.
They were never gone. This morning felt different. The cold finally left the air. Flowers have returned to the old pathways where nothing survived for years. A child ran past me laughing for a second. He smelled exactly like my brother, and something buried deep inside me began to wake. I spent so long believing everyone was gone, so long believing time had won. They were never gone. I was looking the wrong way, through every falling blossom, through every golden day. They were never gone, not as ghosts, not as memories. They were living inside me all alone. An old man sat beside the river, feeding crumbs to passing birds. The way he laughed brought back a friend I hadn't remembered in centuries. Not his face, not his name, just the feeling of being understood. And somehow that was enough. I crossed oceans, buried kingdoms, I lived everyone I love, searching everywhere except the place they never left. They were never gone. I was looking the wrong way, through every fallen blossom, through every golden day. They were never gone, not as ghosts, not as memories. They were living inside me all along. I spent 1,000 years looking for ghosts, across oceans, across winters, across the ruins of entire worlds, only to learn they never left. They never left. They never left. They were never gone. I was looking the wrong way. Every face that turned to dust, drifted through the evening light, and for a moment I saw you smiling. This time I didn't run after you, I smiled back and let spring stay. There's an old hill above the harbor where I used to count the years. The railing holds 1,000 carvings, weathered by the sun and salt. Some belong to friends I've buried, some belong to names I've lost, some belong to people I once loved more than I can explain. Tonight I brought an apple, sat beneath the evening sky, and watched the world continue without asking it why. The birds were heading home, the tide was rolling in. Nothing was trying to stay, nothing was fighting the wind. One more sunset, it's enough. One more sky turning gold, it's enough. I spent forever wanting more. More time, more answers, more roads not yet explored. But tonight, it's enough. The sunset left, nothing was missing. A family laughed below me, a dog ran through the grass, a couple shared a photograph before the daylight passed. Years ago I'd call it ordinary, years ago I'd look away. Now I see entire worlds inside a single day. The light grew softer, the shadows disappeared, and for the first time in centuries, I wasn't afraid of the dark. One more sunset, it's enough. One more fire across the clouds, it's enough. I spent forever trying to hold what was never mine to keep. But tonight, I let it leave. The sunset left, nothing was missing. I spent forever chasing forever, across oceans, across winters, across faces I can barely remember. Somehow that saved me. One more sunset, it's enough. One more breath beneath the stars, it's enough. I don't need forever anymore. I don't need the world to stay. I have this moment, I have this sky, I have this fading light. And tonight, it's enough.
left, nothing was missing. The horizon darkened, the last color disappeared. I stood up, brushed the dust from my coat, smiled, and quietly said, "See you tomorrow."
Snow taps softly on the window, like someone trying not to wake the house. The fire painted restless shadows across old books and wooden walls. I opened one that carried for centuries. A dried flower slipped from between the pages. For a moment I tried to remember who had given it to me. For a moment I didn't, and nothing broke. The tea beside me slowly turned cold. I never noticed the wind moved through the pine trees. The stars gathered outside. Nothing needed an answer, nothing needed a name. The silence stayed. The silence stayed. So did I. 1,000 silent nights passed like snow against the sky. The silence stayed. So did I. There was a time I feared empty rooms, feared long winters, feared the sound of nothing. I filled every quiet moment with memories, with questions, with ghosts. But tonight the house was breathing, and somehow that was enough company. The fire burned lower, the night grew deep. One night the silence stopped feeling empty. The silence stayed. So did I. The silence stayed. So did I. 1,000 silent nights drifting slowly through my life. The silence stayed. So did I. Then silence became my home. I spent forever searching for meaning. Then meaning arrived and said nothing at all. The silence stayed. So did I. The silence stayed. So did I. No more chasing distant answers, no more asking the stars why. 1,000 silent nights, 1,000 falling winters. The silence stayed. So did I. The last law collapsed into embers. The snow kept falling. The flower rested beside the fire. I no longer cared who it belonged to. I smiled, closed the book, and whispered, "Sleep well." The harbor still remembers sunsets. The old clock tower still keeps time. The hill above the city waits beneath the same familiar sky. I walk those roads from time to time, not searching, not grieving, just smiling at the places that carried me this far. The years took many things from me, but somehow they gave something back. I used to measure life by what was gone. Now I measure it by what remains. If you ever return, don't come looking for the man I was. He's somewhere in the winter, somewhere in the dust. If you ever return, you'll meet someone new. I stopped asking what I'd lost. I finally made it through. There's laughter from an open window, music drifting down the street. 100 ordinary miracles I once believed were small. I spent forever chasing forever, across oceans, across kingdoms, across faces fading into time, only to find the life I wanted waiting right here. The world kept moving, so did I. If you ever return, don't come looking for the man I was. He's somewhere in the old photograph, somewhere the river was. If you ever return, you'll meet someone new. I stopped asking what I lost. I finally made it through. You'll find me alive. More alive than I've ever been. I crossed oceans, buried kingdoms, outlived stories no one remembers. Spent 1,000 lifetimes trying to arrive somewhere else. Then one day I looked around and realized I was already home. If you ever return, you'll find me alive. You'll find me laughing beneath the sky still turning blue. If you ever return, stood, smiled and walked toward whatever came next. Not because I knew who was waiting, because I was no longer afraid. The door opened, and the story didn't end.